So you've got that big idea, right? The one that keeps you up at night. Well, turning that amazing idea into a real, successful business, it all comes down to the numbers. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on the economics every single founder needs to know. Let's jump right in.
I mean, who hasn't? You've got that brilliant concept, that spark for a new kind of coffee shop, a game-changing app, or maybe a really cool creative service. You can see it so clearly in your head, you can practically feel it. And this is where the dream smacks right into reality. Because the true price tag on that dream of yours, it includes a ton of costs you probably haven't even thought about yet.
Okay, so first things first, let's figure out that true price tag. We need to look way beyond just the obvious bills to find those hidden costs that every smart founder has to account for.
Every founder is basically keeping two sets of books. The first one is easy. Those are your explicit costs. That's the actual cash you're paying for things like rent and supplies. But it's the second set, the implicit costs, that really separates the pros from the amateurs. This is all about the opportunity you're giving up, like that steady paycheck from the job you just quit to do this. It's a very real cost, even though you never physically write a check for it.
So when you add it all together, the money you're actually spending plus the opportunities you're sacrificing, you finally get the true economic cost. And that's your opportunity cost. It's the full, honest-to-goodness price of chasing your dream. All right, now that we know the real total cost, let's start slicing it up. As a founder, you're going to be staring down two totally different kinds of bills every single month. First up, you've got your fixed costs. Think of these like an anchor, things like your rent or insurance. You pay them no matter what, whether you sell one item or 1,000. Then you've got your variable costs, like raw materials or power. These costs go up and down with your business. The more you produce, the more you're going to spend. And this graph here shows you exactly how those two costs add up. See that flat line at the bottom? That's your fixed cost. It's always there, not going anywhere. The line sloping up from the corner is your variable cost. And your total cost? Well, it's literally just the variable cost curve stacked right on top of your fixed costs. That gap between them never changes. That's your fixed cost hanging out. But just knowing the total cost doesn't tell you the whole story. Not even close. To find out how efficient you really are, you have to know your cost per item. That's where you find your business's real sweet spot. Now, I know this graph looks a little intense, but just think of it as the main dashboard for your business's efficiency. See that line that's always sloping down? That's your average fixed cost. The more stuff you make, the more you spread out that big rent payment. But the big one is that U-shaped curve. That's your average total cost per item. Your entire mission as a founder is to find the absolute lowest point of that U. And that leads to a really, really important question. Why is it a U-shape? Why doesn't it just keep going down? Why does it hit a bottom and then start climbing back up? Understanding this U-shape is honestly one of the most critical things in business. Well, it's really a story of two forces at war. At first, everything is awesome. You're cranking out more products, you're spreading your big fixed costs like rent over all of them, and your average cost per item is dropping like a rock. But then, the law of diminishing returns kicks in. Your workshop gets too crowded, your machines are running hot, you have to start paying people overtime, your efficiency starts to drop, and those variable costs start to climb. And eventually, they start rising faster than your fixed costs are falling, and that's what pushes your average cost back up. And this brings us to maybe the most important number of all, marginal cost. Just think of it as the price tag for making just one more thing. Now, check this out. As long as making that next item is cheaper than your average, it helps pull the whole average down. But the second it becomes more expensive to make that next one, it starts pulling the average up. And that's why this marginal cost curve swoops down and cuts right through the absolute lowest point of your average cost. That intersection, that is your point of maximum efficiency. Okay, enough about money going out the door. Let's talk about the fun part, the money coming in. It's time to flip the coin and take a good look at your revenue. So just like we did with costs, we can break down revenue into three key parts. Total revenue is the easiest one. It's just the price times how many you sell. Simple. Average revenue is just your revenue per item, which when you think about it is just the price. And finally, marginal revenue. That's the extra cash you pocket from selling just one more unit. Okay, so your costs, you get the revenue concepts, but there's one more giant piece of the puzzle. See, you don't exist in a bubble. The market, your competition, they have a huge say in how much money you can actually bring in. These two graphs basically show the two different worlds your business could live in.
The world on the left is what we call a perfectly competitive market. Think of a giant farmer's market where everybody's selling the exact same red apples. The one on the right is an imperfectly competitive market. That's where you've got something unique. The entire shape of your revenue depends on which of these worlds you're playing in. Let's start with that crowded market. Imagine you're just one farmer with one stall at that massive market. You can't just decide to sell your apples for $5 when everyone else is selling them for $1. You have to take the going market price. You're a price taker. And in that world, your price is constant. So your revenue per item and the extra cash from selling the next one, they're exactly the same. That's why it's just a flat line. But what if you're the only coffee shop in a small town? Now things are different. Now you've got some power. You're a price maker. You get to choose your price. But, and this is a big but, there's a catch. And this table right here shows you the catch, clear as day. If you want to attract more customers and sell more coffee, you have to lower your price. So look what happens. You sell one coffee for $20. To sell a second one, you have to drop the price to $18. Your total revenue goes from $20 to $36, so you only made an extra $16. Your marginal revenue is $16, even though the price is $18. Why? Because you had to give that first customer the lower $18 price too. And this is what that reality looks like on a graph. Your average revenue, your price, slopes downward as you sell more. But your marginal revenue, that extra cash from the next sale, it slopes down twice as fast. It's always going to be below the price curve because of that trade-off you have to make. So after all of these curves, all these costs, all these revenues, what's the magic formula? What's the secret? It's this. You should keep making and selling your product as long as the money you make on the very next item is more than what that item costs to make. Your sweet spot, where you make the most profit, is at the exact point where your marginal revenue equals your marginal cost. That is the golden rule of business. And so here we are, right back at your dream. But now you're not just a dreamer anymore. Now you're an economist. You can see the hidden costs, you know the path to peak efficiency, and you understand how the market really works. So the only question left is, what are you going to build?